Can I just invite first the panelists, Sushil Kumar Modi, Asaduddin Owaisi, and Flavia Agnes. Please come, ma'am. Sir. You're there, sir. Oh, sorry. You're here. Sorry. There's a mic here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Few issues have been as contentious, as polarized, and indeed as enduring as the Uniform Civil Code debate. A debate that took place in the Constituent Assembly of this country is part of Article 44 of the Constitution. It's been reignited in our times. Some believe it's just a political trial balloon with a name on the elections. Others believe it's an idea whose time has come. Joining us to discuss this, whether a uniform civil code is a majoritarian agenda or much needed reform, three very special guests. Sushil Kumar Modi is a Member of Parliament of the Bharatiya Janata Party, but more importantly also the head of the Standing Committee on Parliamentary Affairs and Law, which will take an important role to play in pushing the Uniform Civil Code forward. Please give him a very big hand. Asaduddin Owaisi is the charismatic Member of Parliament of Hyderabad from the AIMIM. Please give him, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand. And Flavia Agnes is long-standing activist and lawyer who's been fighting for gender issues for many years now. I appreciate all of you joining us. Mr. Modi, I want to start with you by asking a very simple question. We are debating a uniform civil code without a draft in hand. The government of the day wants a national debate on uniform civil code, but you haven't even given the nation a draft. So can you first tell us when will we have a draft of the Uniform Civil Code, since you've called the Law Ministry representatives and Law Commission representatives, or is this typically another trial balloon being floated by the BJP?
देखिए, मैं कोई टाइमलाइन नहीं बता सकता हूं कि लॉ कमीशन कब अपनी रिपोर्ट देगा, एंड व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट विल float a discussion paper on common civil code. But the issues are very transparent. Even without a consultation paper, you can work out what are the issues of common civil code. And according to me, for example, marriage, there are two main issues in common civil code: marriage and succession. And under the head marriage, minimum age for marriage, there should be a minimum age either for Hindu or for a Muslim. As on today, it is not the common minimum age. Then simple law for divorce. The law should be simple, and the same ground should be for divorce, either it is men or women. Number 3, maintenance after divorce. Number 4, monogamy. There should not be polygamy, either it is Hindu or Muslim. And the 5th point is compulsory registration of marriages. According to me, these are the 5 major points. Either the consultation paper is there or it is not there. मैं समझता कि ये 5 मुद्दे हैं, and they are और ये gender neutral हो. There should not be gender discrimination. किसी प्रकार का स्त्री और पुरुष में कोई भेदभाव नहीं होना चाहिए. और सेकेंड इशू रिगार्डिंग सक्सेशन. सक्सेशन में 2 चीजें, एडॉप्शन एंड इनहेरिटेंस. इनहेरिटेंस में स्त्री पुरुष दोनों को बराबर का अधिकार मिलना चाहिए. और मुझे लगता है कि इनहेरिटेंस में मुस्लिम लॉ इज मोर प्रोग्रेसिव देन द हिंदू लॉ, बिकॉज अंडर द मुस्लिम लॉ वीमेन गॉट द राइट इन देयर प्रॉपर्टी. तो हर रिलीजन के लॉ में कुछ अच्छी बातें हो सकती है. तो मुझे लगता है, और फिर कुछ चीजें, 3 तलाक, निकाह हलाला आज के समय में. और मैं अंतिम बात ये कहना चाहूँगा कि मैं कोई मुस्लिम लॉ का मैं कोई एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूँ, लेकिन मुझे जो जानकारी है The Shariat Act is not a divine law. जो कुछ लोग ये दावा करते हैं कि शरीयत एक्ट शरीयत लॉ इज अ डिवाइन लॉ, इट इज नॉट अ डिवाइन लॉ. ये ब्रिटिश के जमाने के अंदर ये जो लॉ को तैयार किया गया और जो हादिया थी उसका जो ट्रांसलेशन किया हैमिल्टन ने, मैं उसके विस्तार में नहीं जाऊंगा, लेकिन मैं इतना ही कहूंगा, अगर ये डिवाइन लॉ होता तो दुनिया के सारे देशों के अंदर तीन तलाक की अनुमति नहीं होती, पोलीगेमी की अनुमति नहीं की अनुमति होती. इसलिए मुझे लगता है ये सारे, इसको रिलीजन से कोई मतलब नहीं है. और समय आ गया है, क्योंकि हिंदू कोड बिल आया था 1955 में, और उसमें मुस्लिम लॉ में कोई रिफॉर्म इसलिए नहीं हो पाया कि लोगों ने कहा कि अभी समय नहीं आया है. लेकिन अब समय आ चुका है, 75 साल हो गया देश की आज़ादी को. और मुझे लगता है कि अगर मुस्लिम समाज रिफॉर्म के लिए आगे नहीं आ रहा खुद, तो वैसी स्थिति में सरकार को आगे आना पड़ेगा उन रिफॉर्म्स को लागू करने के लिए. और उसमें क्या आपत्ति हो सकती है कि एक शादी होनी चाहिए, 4 शादी नहीं होनी चाहिए? क्या आपत्ति हो सकती है कि 3 तलाक नहीं होना चाहिए, सिंपल लॉ फॉर डाइवोर्स होना चाहिए? तो मैं उस बात को रिपीट नहीं करूंगा. इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि ये इश्यूज हैं जिस पर कि एक आम सहमति बन सकती है. और भी कुछ मुद्दे हो सकते हैं, लेकिन मुझे जो लग रहे मुद्दे उसका मैंने आपके सामने जिक्र किया है.
Before I go to Mr. Owaisi, I want to ask you, if it is also simple, as you made it out to be, you should have a draft and provide this draft to the country A, and B, your own law commission in 2018, appointed by the Narendra Modi government, said it is neither desirable or necessary. What has suddenly changed in 5 years? The sense I get, चुनाव आ रहा है 2024 में, कुछ तो करवाना है. राम मंदिर हो गया, आर्टिकल 370 हो गया, अब लगाते हैं यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड. If it is so simple, then you bring it before the nation.
Number one, the 21st Law Commission, they didn't recommend anything. They only gave a consultation paper.
So they said it is neither desirable nor necessary.
I'm coming on that point. You have आपने एक वर्ड छोड़ दिया, और इसलिए मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा, जो उन्होंने रेकमेंड किया उसकी कॉपी मेरे पास है. उन्होंने कहा which is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. उन्होंने ये नहीं कहा कि at no stage. उन्होंने कहा कि providing this commission has dealt with laws that are discriminatory rather than providing a uniform civil code which is neither necessary nor desirable. और आपने 2 लास्ट वर्ड छोड़ दिया राजदीप जी, at this stage. इस स्टेज पर आवश्यक नहीं है.
So what has changed between 2018 and 2023?
चेंज ये हो गया बिकॉज द 21st लॉ कमीशन, मैं उनका भी एक रिकमेंडेशन या उनकी एक लाइन पढ़ देता हूं. इट इज डिजायरेबल, आई एम कोटिंग 21st लॉ कमीशन, इट इज डिजायरेबल दैट ऑल पर्सनल लॉज रिलेटिंग टू मैटर्स ऑफ फैमिली फर्स्ट मस्ट बी कोडिफाइड. नंबर 1, all the family laws should be codified to the greatest extent possible, and the inequalities that have crept into codified law, these should be remedied by amendments. ये है कमीशन. और कमीशन ने 2018 में कुछ रेकमेंड नहीं किया, और अपने टेन्योर के लास्ट वीक में उन्होंने कंसल्टेशन पेपर फ्लोट किया. और इसलिए 22nd लॉ कमीशन को, चूंकि अगर उन्होंने रेकमेंड किया होता तो एक बात थी, चूंकि दे आर नॉट रिकमेंडेड, तो 22nd लॉ कमीशन ने 3 साल के बाद नए सिरे से लोगों के सुझाव आमंत्रित किए हैं. और मुझे लगता है इंतजार करना चाहिए, बहुत जल्द कोई ना कोई कंसल्टेशन पेपर या डिस्कशन पेपर या कोई चीज आएगी बाजार के अंदर, मार्केट में सामने आएगी, और तब उस पर और ज्यादा डिस्कशन हो पाएगा.
One last time before I go to Mr. Owaisi, can we therefore expect before 2024 elections a draft available of what you see as a uniform civil code? Yes or no?
देखिए, इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ बीजेपीज मैनिफेस्टो, और मैं अपेक्षा करता हूं, आई एम नॉट इन अ गवर्नमेंट, आई एम नॉट अ गवर्नमेंट.
But are you hopeful?
Yes, I am hopeful.
Before 2024?
Yes.
In the winter session of Parliament?
No, I can't say when in this session or that session, or before 24. अब तो अगले इलेक्शन में 6 महीना बचा है ना, तो जब भी होगा हमारा कमिटमेंट है.
Okay.
तो हमारे मैनिफेस्टो का पार्ट है, हम अपने मैनिफेस्टो को पूरा करेंगे, और मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि इस टेन्योर में हम अपने मैनिफेस्टो के इस कमिटमेंट को पूरा करने का काम करेंगे.
Okay. Asaduddin Owaisi, Sushil Kumar Modi says that The Sharia is not something that should be treated as divine and immutable, that it is there forever. He says there are basic issues on which agreement can be made. He mentioned a few. I'll mention one to you. For example, polygamy. He says it should be very clear under personal laws, only monogamy will be acceptable. It should be uniformly acceptable. It should not be seen as conflict with Muslim personal laws. How do you respond?
First of all, as far as the Sharia law is concerned, we don't need to learn from BJP man. So we know what Sharia is, and if that will be the last day of all of us, if we have to learn what is Sharia according to the BJP people.
Now, who should you learn Sharia from then?
See, I don't want to even say that, I don't want, the Orientalists have written a lot about Sharia. They don't know about Sharia. They don't know about the different schools of thought which are prevalent. They don't know what fiqh is. They don't know what the jurisprudence. Anyway, so the second point which Mr. Sushil Modi is not mentioning is that, why is he leaving out the tribals?
I'll come to that.
No, let me know. Now he talks about polygamy. Now, why isn't he not reading that paragraph of 21st Law Commission, wherein he said in paragraph number 2.9, that Muslims have the lowest polygamy or second marriage in the whole of country. And in fact, he went on to say, it is people of religions apart from Islam who have misused this. Thirdly, please remember that our preamble talks about liberty of conscience. Article 25 to 30, which is a fundamental right of our constitution, it talks about principles of diversity and pluralism. The basic structure of our constitution is based upon one nation but many identities. Now, why I say we don't require UCC is because we have Domestic Violence Act, Juvenile Justice Act, Special Marriage Act, Indian Succession Act. You don't want to use it? The religion law, use this, it is there. And may I tell you, the Special Marriage Act, look at this, the way the Special Marriage Act is working. Now, if two Muslims get married under Special Marriage Act, the Indian Succession Act will apply. If two Hindus get married under the Special Marriage Act, then the Hindu Succession Act will apply to them. Now, what Mr. Sushil Modi and RSS and BJP are trying to do is they want to bring in a Hindu code bill wherein they will be given exemptions because of their culture. So for them, religion means culture. For me, religion means religion. And apart from that, you take about the whole tribal polygamy. Polygamy exists in tribals also. In fact, there's a polyandry in tribals. You don't want to talk about that. India, see, now you talk about gender justice, right? Gender justice, what is happening in our country? Half of our, many of our women are out of workforce. Women work 7.2 hours as domestic help and they don't get any amount for that. You talk about gender justice, what about Bilqis Bano? You talk about gender justice, what about rapes which are happening in Manipur? Now, see, these are important questions which the government must answer.
So, but you accept that personal laws that conflict with guaranteed rights under the Constitution of India need to be resolved. If there are existing personal laws in Islam that are seen to be not gender friendly enough, why would you not want the Hindu Code Bill went through this debate in the 1950s? Why should Islam not go through the similar debate?
Do you know Section 5 Hindu Marriage Act? Do you know what is Section 5 Hindu Marriage Act? Please tell me. I want to know from you.
Go ahead.
Now I'm waiting.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The Hindu Marriage Act Section 5 talked about Sapinda relationship. Will you take it off? Will, prohibit, no, hold on. You talk about uniformity. Do it. The Haryana BJP government says we'll ban Sagotra marriages. Will you allow? Why don't you allow it? There are Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Adoption Act, so many exemptions are given in the form of culture. I want to know, will the BJP remove all this? Will Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Adoption Act, everything has to go. Will that go or not? No, you cannot bring in a Hindu code bill and tell me to accept it, and wherein you give exceptions to yourself. That cannot be. And Rajdeep, please understand, equality and sameness are different thing. Kaisa karenge? Aap bole ye kar denge. Kaisa karenge? How will you do it? Tell me. Why don't you celebrate the pluralism and the diversity which this country has?
If the pluralism, and this is what the 21st Law Commission said, sir, if the pluralism is in conflict with certain fundamental rights guaranteed to citizens, if a woman is being denied perhaps her fundamental rights under a particular aspect of Muslim personal law, as the argument is made when it comes to maintenance.
I will quote you September 12, Times of India, wherein one Gujarati person married second time, his second wife was taken away from him. He goes to the Supreme Court, and the Honorable Chief Justice of India says, orders an inquiry, and after coming to know that it is cruelty, the second wife goes back to his wife, to the husband. There are cases in Supreme Court and High Court wherein a wife refused to give tea to her husband. A wife refused to serve her in-laws, and it was ground of cruelty for divorce. That is not the case in Islam. My wife has no right, my wife is not obliged, or she's not under any obligation to serve my parents or to even make me a cup of tea. Now here you have, so let us talk about the whole gambit. Why are you excluding the Hindu Marriage Act, the Hindu Succession Act, the Hindu Adoption Act, the Hindu Inheritance Act? And moreover, Article 371 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, will that be removed or not? If Mr. Sushil Modi has gone on record and said that the tribal should be excluded, then what will 44 is throughout the Union Territory? If that is the case, then what is the Article 1 of our Constitution? Okay. Then you're not going to have a law you're going to have a law only to control Muslims.
You want to quickly respond to that, because this is the primary, you made a comment that the tribals of the Northeast should be excluded. Effectively, it seems that you want to, as you even mentioned in your initial comments, you seem to suggest that Muslim laws need the reformation, personal laws. There are Hindu laws also which are gender unfriendly. They will also need, Hindu Succession Act will need change. Are you ready for omnibus changes? Or are you saying that tribals ko mat touch kariye, there are vote bank, therefore tribals will be kept out of this?
एक बात का ओवैसी साहब ने उत्तर नहीं दिया. He says that least polygamy is in the Muslims. Then you should not have opposed it. Why you are opposing? Why you are not for monogamy?
Sir, can I answer?
Why?
You, please?
No,
I'll answer.
जब आपका नंबर आएगा.
One by one. We are not in a TV debate.
Yes. मैं केवल ये कह रहा हूँ कि
What is going on live on TV?
जहाँ पर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है, और जब हिंदू कोड बिल आया, उस समय हिंदुओं के अंदर भी पोलीगेमी था. There was no divorce amongst Hindus, and the Hindus vehemently opposed the Hindu code bill and monogamy. In those days, this was more prevalent amongst the Hindus even than the Muslims. लेकिन एक बार जब पंडित नेहरू ने हिंदू कोड बिल लाया और मोनोगेमी का सिद्धांत बनाया, तो आज 3 तलाक, ये क्या निकाह हलाला? आज के समय में अगर डाइवोर्स हो गया किसी महिला का और दोबारा शादी करना चाहती उस पति के साथ, तो ये कहाँ का कानून है कि उस महिला को एक दूसरे पुरुष के साथ शादी करनी पड़ेगी? वो फिर जब उसको तलाक देगा तब पहली पत्नी के साथ वो रह सकता है? इसलिए मैं तो इतना ही कह रहा हूं कि इसको कोई रिलीजन से मतलब नहीं है. जो विमेन के साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है वो जेंडर न्यूट्रल होना चाहिए. और इसलिए मैंने जो सुझाव दिए, मैंने जो बातें रखी, उसके अंदर मुझे नहीं लगता है कि किसी भी धर्म के लोगों को कोई आपत्ति होगी.
Number 2, sir, just
Rajiv,
1 minute.
No.
It's very interesting, sir, when you quote the, Nehru and the Hindu code bill, considering that Hindu conservatives were the one who stood up to Nehru when he wanted to reform Hindu religion. It's good to see how much change has taken place from the 50s to today. But that apart, Mr. Owaisi, you should also respond.
No, I'm going to respond.
You should be open to the idea.
Listen to me.
Sir, just a minute. Like it was with triple talaq, your first reaction is it's an intervention in Muslim personal laws. Allow that to be a free debate.
Rajdeep, please understand, National Family Health Survey 5. What is the difference between the people among Muslims having second wife and Hindus having second wife? Not even 4 or 5%. This is Modi government survey. Now here you have a classic case that if a Muslim marries a second wife, she gets maintenance right. She gets a separate house to live. She is called a wife. Whereas a Hindu marries a second wife, she is not called a wife. I don't want to use that word. Thirdly, he talks about halala. Halala is gone. Why don't you read the Supreme Court judgment? It is not there anymore. And there are social evils. And we have made laws about child marriage. 80% of child marriage, 82% to be right, are from the Hindu community.
Sir, but the challenge is to codify these laws.
These are all many of these laws are codified. Now, Flavia Agnes have done a study in 1996. She can correct me if I'm wrong. That if a Muslim woman, she gets more maintenance instead of getting that paltry sum of 500 rupees under Section 125 CRPC. The DMMA Act, it is there.
Can I just stop you there, because we mentioned Flavia Agnes? It would be extremely unfair that the debate is hijacked by three men, particularly since often it's the women who are most concerned at the moment by a uniform civil code. The idea is to make it gender friendly. Flavia, you have a compromise that you can offer between these two. Is it possible for Mr. Owaisi, Mr. Sushil Modi to sit across a table, look at the laws as they exist, both in Islam and at the moment in the Hindu Succession Act adoption, and look for best practices? How difficult is that? Is that desirable? Is it necessary?
The problem here is my.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the problem here is two things. One is all laws have to be gender just. Secondly, whether they should be uniform. According to me, they need not be uniform. Uniform does not mean gender justice. Now here, each law is gender unjust in different ways. Each personal law. Mr. Owaisi has mentioned some of them. Mr. Modi has mentioned some of them. In fact, Mr. Owaisi has mentioned about Hindu law. And Mr. Modi mentioned about Muslim law, where they are gender unjust. Now, how do we resolve it? The question is not whether we need a uniform civil code. Why we need a uniform civil code? And what does it hope to achieve? If it's not BJP agenda, then what is it? What is the need? If gender justice is the aim, then we need not touch the uniform civil code debate at all. We have to straight away address the issue of gender injustice. Now, how this is to be...
Give me an example. Give me an example of a law which you believe can be tackled come tomorrow. Which is a law which you believe is gender
unjust?
unjust?
Christian personal law, which was not always gender just. But over a period of time, the Christian women have struggled and made the law more gender just than it was. And today, if you see, there are no issues there, whether it is succession, whether it is marriage, whatever, registration, age of marriage, all of them are there in the Christian law. Now you can say Christian is a small community and reform within them is possible. But so is possible under Hindu law, so is possible under Muslim law. Now for instance, for Muslim law, rather what the point Mr. Owaisi said is very correct. I had done a study, published an article, Hindu men and monogamy. Now what happens if a second wife goes to court for maintenance? The court say only Saptapati was not done, so there is no marriage. And Mr. Owaisi didn't want to use that word, but what the Supreme Court labels her as a concubine. And she is devoid of all her rights. All the children are made illegitimate. And this is the state of affairs for Hindus. And we think that is great state of affairs. Because I am a lawyer, I am practicing, and we have a whole organization. And when the woman comes to you, Hindu woman comes to you, and she is the second wife, we don't know how to help her. So now in such a case, for Hindus to say Muslim, point out and say Muslim law is bad, according to me, it shows a majoritarian agenda. It does not show the commitment to gender justice. So there are lots of things within each personal law. And according to me, reform from within is the best strategy. Rather than imposing, whether BJP imposing, anybody else imposing from above a law that every community of women And there are a lot of Muslim women taking the initiative as well.
But ma'am, in a patriarchal society dominated by men like Mr. Owaisi, how...
Rajdeep, Brahmins like you also.
Sorry?
Brahmins like you also.
Yeah, okay.
No, you should,
No.
Rajdeep, understand, dominated by Mr. Owaisi, I'm the ruling party. Huh?
I'm saying we are all patriarchs. We are all
Yeah,
patriarchs.
so why don't you start with, are you afraid to name the Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
No,
Say him, start from Narendra Modi, then Sushil Modi, then Owaisi.
My limited
What is
point,
stopping you from naming
my
it?
limited
Come on.
point,
No,
just a minute.
every time,
Flavia, sir,
I will not allow you to create a stereotype image of myself. I will not do, you cannot do that, sitting on a
sir,
live channel.
Sir, can I just complete
No,
my
Rajdeep, don't do that.
No,
Rajdeep,
okay.
Rajdeep, you don't know anything about Islamic law. That is what I'm saying. You should read about it.
No, sir, 1 minute. I asked you a limited question based on what Flavia just said, which is that every community must initiate reform. That would be the best way forward.
Yes.
In the 1950s, Hindu society went through a very deep debate, eventually ended up in the Hindu court.
Excuse me. I am stopping you because Dayabaga Mitakshara school of thought exception has been taken care of in that. In the form of exceptions. You have created a Hindu law and given all exceptions for customs. Now what is law, what is custom? Please tell me. Now you talk about distribution of property, Mr. Wood talks about. Will this government take away the right of will? Please tell us now. In Muslim law, tomorrow if I decide to give a property to my daughter or son, I cannot give beyond 1/3. Here you have a law, I can give every inch of my property or send to my son or my daughter. Will you stop that? No, these are questions which the government will answer.
These are very valid questions.
No, these are not. This is the reality. This is the reality which the government is running away from.
Let Sushil Modi answer that because
मैं तो
सुशील
इतना
मोदी
ही
जी
कहूंगा।
जब आप रिफॉर्म की बात करते हैं, जब आप यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की बात करते हैं, क्या आप मानते हैं कि हर समाज में होना पड़ेगा? ये कोई इस्लामिक सेंट्रिक नहीं हो सकता। अगर वो हो फिर लोग देखेंगे मेजॉरिटेरियन एजेंडा। आपने कहा ट्राइबल शुड नॉट बी इंक्लूडेड। व्हाई शुड ट्राइबल्स हैव अ डिफरेंट लॉ? देन द एंटायर बेसिस ऑफ आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विल फॉल एंड द बेसिस ऑफ यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड इफ यू हैव सो मेनी एक्सेप्शंस।
देखिए, जहां तक ट्राइबल्स की बात है तो मैं यहाँ बैठे लोगों को बताना चाहूंगा, देयर आर सम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस फॉर मिजोरम एंड नागालैंड. The constitution was amended in 1986, in 1962, and section 371G and 371A was inserted in the Indian constitution, which says no act of parliament in respect of religion or social practices of the Naga customary law and procedure shall apply to the state of Nagaland unless the Legislative Assembly of Nagaland by a resolution so decides. You can't compare tribals with the Hindus or the Muslims. The tribals, they were cut off from the society for the last thousands of years. They were in the jungles, they were living in the forest area. और इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने जब नागालैंड और मिजोरम का मर्जर हुआ इंडिया के अंदर, उस समय इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने प्रोवाइड किया कि उनके कस्टमरी लॉ में, उनके कस्टमरी लॉ एंड प्रोसीजर्स में, उनके रिलीजियस और सोशल प्रैक्टिसेस में कोई भी पार्लियामेंट इंटरफेयर नहीं कर सकती है.
सर, बट वुड यू बी ओपन टू
एक मिनट, नहीं, मेरी बात, नो प्लीज अलाउ मी टू से कंप्लीट. नो प्लीज से, मुझको पूरी बात बोलने दीजिए. उसी प्रकार शेड्यूल एरिया, शेड्यूल 6 एंड शेड्यूल 5 जो ट्राइबल एरिया है, भारत के 10 जिलों के अंदर, मिजोरम के अंदर, नागालैंड के अंदर, मेघालय के अंदर ऑटोनमस डिस्ट्रिक्ट काउंसिल्स हैं. उनको पावर दिया कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने कि उनके कस्टमरी लॉ, उनके मैरिज लॉ में किसी प्रकार का कोई इंटरवेंशन नहीं होगा. तो इसलिए ट्राइबल्स की स्थिति अलग है. इसलिए पार्टी का क्या स्टैंड है मुझे नहीं मालूम है, लेकिन मेरा ये व्यक्तिगत मत है कि ट्राइबल शुड बी केप्ट आउटसाइड द परव्यू ऑफ द कॉमन सिविल कोड. यू कांट कंपेयर द ट्राइबल्स विद द मुस्लिम्स और द क्रिश्चियंस और विद द हिंदूज. और इसलिए आगे कम से कम 10-20 साल, 25 साल जो कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने प्रोवाइड किया है, और इसी शर्त पर वो नागालैंड भारत का हिस्सा बना, इसी शर्त पर मिजोरम भारत का हिस्सा बना.
सर, आई टेक योर पॉइंट, बट हिंदू सक्सेशन एक्ट, वुड यू बी विलिंग टू रीलुक एट दैट?
क्यों नहीं रीलुक होना चाहिए? वी आर रेडी.
ओके
भाई, अगर मैं एक मिनट, राजदीप जी, महिलाओं को हिंदू सक्सेशन एक्ट में संपत्ति का अधिकार नहीं था। 2005 में संशोधन करके वो अधिकार दिया गया। अगर हिंदू समाज में भी कई महिलाओं के साथ भेदभाव है, हम सबसे आगे बढ़कर उस भेदभाव को खत्म करके हिंदू ये स्त्री और पुरुष दोनों की समानता के लिए कोई भी कानून अगर बनाने की आवश्यकता होगी तो हम 100% उसके लिए तैयार हैं। लेकिन इस्लाम के लोगों को भी उसके लिए तैयार रहना चाहिए। मैं शर्त नहीं लगा रहा हूं, लेकिन आप 1% लोग अगर पोलीगेमी करते तो फिर क्या दिक्कत आपको है? फिर तो आपको आगे बढ़कर स्वागत करना चाहिए।
एक मिनट सुनिए लिसन टू मी सर, आपको नहीं 1 मिनट हाफ अ मिनट
Are you open to reform?
हाफ अ मिनट सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज डन व्हाट? इस्लाम में जितनी भी चीजें एसेंशियल रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस से ताल्लुक है, आप जो केरला की मंदिर में क्या कर रहे हैं आप लोग, वो रिफर्ड है ना कुछ सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, जाइए उसमें ये ऑल विच व्हेन कुरान मेंशंस सर्टेन थिंग्स, ट्रिपल तलाक बोले नहीं कुरान में नहीं। अब जब चीजें कुरान में है, ये हमारा एसेंशियल रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस है हमारा। और 11.5 crore ट्राइबल्स, यू वांट टू एक्सक्लूड देम एंड यू विल कॉल इट अ यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड?
Are you ready, Mr. Owaisi, are you ready to have a debate on reform? A debate
Why don't you hold
which
a,
will lead to,
why
as
don't,
we
why,
saw with the Shah Bano case in the 1980s, government brings in a
Shah
law.
Bano, look, please understand, again you have not read properly. Shah Bano was upheld in the Supreme Court.
It was.
Are you ask her, she's here, she has done tremendous, she has spent her whole life on that. Arji, आप पढ़ते नहीं ऐसे आ जाते।
No, there was opposition. You opposed, the clerics opposed it at that moment.
Boss, that law was upheld by the Supreme Court.
Subsequently.
That was upheld by Supreme Court. क्या बोल रहे हैं?
Final word, Flavia. Do you see this debate being resolved, or do you see us coming back 10 years from now and still having Mr. Owaisi and Mr. Sushil Modi joining us?
I don't see this issue resolved in this manner because of the entire BJP attitude towards minorities. It's not just Muslim, it is Christian, it is minority as a community. So in this atmosphere, there's no place for dialogue. Now we have, the drafting is the easiest part. To make people understand, to take them along is the most challenging part. Now you see what's happening in the country. I speak as a minority. It's not just the Muslims who are threatened, but even the Christians feel threatened. So today is the climate in which such a debate is not possible. You can't say that Muslims are like this or Christians are like this. As a minority, what is the BJP approach in which the UCC can be debated? I feel this is not a question of gender justice. It is a question of gender justice. But the gender justice is formulated how? For instance, this whole Saptapadi under the Hindu law. Now when you say Hindu marriage is a contract, then Saptapadi should not be there at all. Offering the girl itself is so discriminatory. Muslim law is a contract. Christian law is a contract. For instance, simple things like this. There are so many if you actually go and study.
So essentially you're saying first create the conducive atmosphere.
Absolutely.
An atmosphere of trust, which at the moment between Mr. Owaisi and Mr. Modi at least seems very difficult. Hopefully.
Not only
you can
this
become
Modi,
the
but
anchor
big
again.
Modi.
Sorry?
Not just this Modi,
No,
but
we-
the big Modi.
Sorry, the other Modi. Yes, well, who knows? Well, we could have Mr. Owaisi in the future with the other Modi also.
Yeah, after 24, yeah.
Okay, we'll wait and see. But for now, the Uniform Civil Code, I think, deserves a reasoned debate, and it can only take place in the very first instance if we have a draft in hand. You need a draft in hand before you can have a considered debate. Hopefully, that draft, at least as Mr. Modi is promising us, should be with us soon. He's got worried. The moment I said, is hoping will be with us sooner rather than later. For now, Sushil Modi, Asaduddin Owaisi, and the incredible Flavia Agnes, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that heated debate, may I please call upon Arvind Kumar Singh, Darwin Platform Group of Companies, to come up on stage and present a small token of appreciation to the three gentlemen. Thank you, Mr.